New developments on the Tufts University PhD candidate in the U.S. on a student visa and now detained by ICE. Last night, a federal judge in Massachusetts blocked the Trump administration from deporting Rumeysa Ozturk, pending a ruling on a petition to keep her detained in the state. But right now, Ozturk is being held at an immigration center in Louisiana, even though a judge barred her transfer without notice. Joining me now is Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss. Congressman, always good to have you. So let's get into this, because this Boston suburb where Ozturk was apprehended, it's pretty close to your district. Video of the incident shows these 6 plainclothes officers, 5 men, 1 woman. They're in unmarked cars, some of them masked. They come up and they grab her. They whisk her away in handcuffs. She is screaming. What went through your mind when you saw this happen?
Alex, thanks for having me on. What went through my mind is my home state has been welcoming immigrants and students for 400 years, and that footage is not who we are in Massachusetts. This young woman has been dedicating her career to helping children and studying their psychology and how to best help children who are dealing with mental health challenges. She wrote an op-ed for her student newspaper that I disagree with about Israel. And you know what, Alex? I have come on this show and I have made my opposing viewpoint on Israel well known. That's how America works. How America does not work is bullying young women with masked officers because of a political viewpoint. That's not who we are.
And to your point, the Department of Homeland Security claims that she was engaged in activities supporting Hamas. So that includes writing an op-ed in the Tufts student newspaper criticizing the university's response to the pro-Palestinian movement. Then you have Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirming he's canceled visas for more than 300 people connected to pro-Palestine campus protests. And here's what he said about Ozturk's case.
I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in.
But what is the message the administration sends when a woman with no record of violence, just exercising her right to free speech, is then labeled a national security threat and subject to deportation without due process?
Under the Immigration and Naturalization Act of 1952, Secretary Rubio is right that he can revoke a student visa if he finds that the individual potentially poses adverse foreign policy consequences to the United States. Now, that law is probably too broadly written, and Congress should fix it, although don't hold your breath for Speaker Mike Johnson to pick up the gavel on that one. But more to the point, the Secretary still has to demonstrate a fact pattern that substantiates that claim, that her presence here is adverse to U.S. foreign policy interests. That woman deserves due process, and it should be in a jurisdiction that is best situated to hear her case. And I don't see how Louisiana is that jurisdiction. Alex, I also just want to raise, though, that this is a broader political moment for Democrats on the question of immigration, because there is always a tension when we discuss immigration about whether we're a nation of laws or a nation of immigrants. And there's always a false choice put forward between the two. And candidly, under the Biden administration, when 5 million people crossed the border without documentation, I think the average American said, wait a minute, this doesn't feel like you're enforcing the law, Mr. President. And Democrats lost a lot of credibility on immigration. But now President Trump is bullying a young woman for her political viewpoint who has no record of violence or incitement to violence. And it feels like here he is impairing our identity as a nation of immigrants. And I think Democrats as a party now need to say quite clearly to the American people, we are a nation of immigrants. We're going to defend immigrants. We're also a nation of laws, and we're going to ensure that everyone has due process, which means that some individuals who may be members of gangs or may have incited violence or harassment, they should be deported. We have to treat this on a case-by-case basis.
Let's move on to the leaked signal chat discussing military plans, because you served in the Marines. You commanded forces in Afghanistan and Panama. The White House is claiming and dismissing that this was a major national security breach, dismissing any claims of that. Could the discussion on Signal in the wrong hands have actually put U.S. fighter pilots in jeopardy? I mean, I'm curious your overall reaction to this.
U.S. fighter pilots think so. This is a 1-2 punch of hypocrisy and incompetence, and it's a gut punch to the U.S. military. One, because Secretary Hegseth and Mike Walls and Tulsi Gabbard, they are lying in order to avoid accountability for acts that, if a corporal or a captain had committed them, would lead to court-martial and the end of your career. And that kind of double standard, it undermines good order and discipline within the ranks. It becomes toxic to esprit de corps. The incompetence, though, Alex, is even worse, because it's not only American people, it's our allies and our enemies who can see this junior varsity squad that Trump has surrounded himself with. And candidly, I'm not even mad at the Trump national security team, because they're just the Keystone Cops. I mean, these people are so grossly unfit for their office that they should never have been there in the first place. I'm mad at congressional Republicans, the senators and the House members who have passed the buck on their responsibility to have been a check on these folks ever getting confirmed for this office in the first place. This is the John Thune Club, and John Thune and the Republicans in Congress own the mess that befalls us.
Massachusetts Congressman Jake Auchincloss, always good to talk with you. We'll see you again soon. Thank you.